Victoria Beckham balances boardrooms and school runs. Gwyneth Paltrow built Goop without dropping the rest. Serena Williams, grand slams, fashion lines, family time. Even at the top, balance is the real flex. And remember, Bezos, Zuckerberg, Gates all started at home. No office, no staff, just an idea and relentless follow-through. We asked 12 seasoned entrepreneurs who've lived this firsthand. Let's get into it.
Being your own boss is about years of hard work and perseverance. It means facing challenges because you believe in your idea and its potential. It's a powerful and rewarding journey, but often more challenging than expected. So, what are the rewards? We asked the experts.
1.
I love to see us, basically the work that we've put in, and then the end result and the increasing result, which is why I absolutely love running the SEO agency, because we get to see that so many more times over than just our own brands. So there's incredible people behind all of these different brands, and we're able to do the SEO for them, which is the fun part, and then see the growth that they experience. So for me, it's those milestones of growth and seeing that on a regular basis.
2.
I did not open a business for money. I opened a business for freedom. I said to myself, I was doing very well in the corporate world. I just hated the corporate world. I don't like people telling me what to do. I don't like people thinking about what I'm doing. I'm a very hard worker. I invest in myself. I invest in the business I'm in, and I share the knowledge. So for me, it was freedom, and it still is today. It still is today. All my businesses are based on freedom. They're based on me, my performance, growing the business. It's based on me being anywhere in the world working. That's my lifestyle, and I love it. I built my lifestyle to my dream. Okay, 1. My wife loves to travel. If it was jewelry or travel, her choice is travel, but she likes jewelry too. But she'll say that it's travel mostly, but you gotta have both, I guess. But travel was one of the things we built the company on, all my companies. And that's work from anywhere was what we chose to do. So freedom was why I opened the business. I told my wife, I was 30 years old, 3 kids at that. I had 4 kids total, but 3 kids at that point. And she gave me the ultimatum: if you're going to do it, you're going to do it now, or you're going to be a corporate guy the rest of your life, which I just could not do. So what happened was I said to her, listen, if I can make 70% of what I make now, get a company car for myself, obviously, and get 3 weeks vacation, I'd be happy. That was my goal when I opened the business. But then I started to dig the business and really get into it, reinvest in myself, go to all the association meetings, go to all the conventions, learn, learn, learn. Never stop learning. You know, the motto, learn like you're going to live forever and live like you're going to die tomorrow. To me, that's my lifestyle.
3. I was never really comfortable with the concept of chasing money. I always wanted to have a purpose. And when we started Pro Valet, we knew from the very beginning that the purpose, the why, was less about the economics and more about how are we going to help people? How do we put more time and more money back into somebody's life? And by the way, do it at a rate that's economical. It's something that is a part of my background. I grew up in a small business atmosphere. We knew, and I know today, hundreds of small business owners, and they all struggle with very similar problems. And a lot of it, the result of their problems, is that they end up spending a tremendous amount of time. 4.
What's the reward in being an entrepreneur, as in, being in control of your own business? It's control. It's having the choice to work. Now, generally, a lot of people start their own business, become an entrepreneur because they want more free time. You tend to have less free time, but it doesn't feel like work when it's your choice. And the rewards are instant. So if you put extra hours in, you tend to see not maybe straight away, but you see the results over time. When if you're working for someone else, it may not be as tangible. I think in terms of what I specifically do in helping people, it's seeing the difference. It's helping people make a difference. And yeah, I get paid to help people change. So it's the best of both worlds.
5.
The most rewarding thing for me is the freedom of choice, really. I feel you get to choose the type of work you're doing. the kind of clients that you partner with. You don't always get to do that as part of a larger organization. Or at least when I was coming up, you might not have always gotten the chance to do that. So the freedom of choice is very helpful. And I think that also, of course, bleeds into your personal life and your lifestyle, as we were just talking about. I'm a real intrepid. I love to travel. I'm a real culture hoarder. I love to be around the world. And while I believe that your downtime and time to recharge batteries is sacrosanct, I approve it, I applaud it, I live it. I am somebody who doesn't mind when I am traveling around the world, taking my laptop and taking in inspiration, talking to others in this field. When I visit other places, I love the freedom of that, because then I'm getting to choose how I'm spending my time. That only is a benefit to the clients I work with, because I'll come back from a trip and a conversation with a chef, or a conversation with a mixologist, or another marketer who's in another geography. That might give me some inspiration or an idea or something I might borrow to bring into my business, and that only benefits the work as well. So I guess if I would categorize those different things as, I feel that I have the freedom of choice in entrepreneurship that I did not have as an employee. And by no means was being an employee a draconian situation for me. Of course, you're a leader, you get to make decisions, you're running a P&L, you're running a group. But I feel that the real choice of, no, I want to show up this way, I want to support this type of client, I want to build this type of team. And for me, that is all around inclusion and diversity. And, someone can be over 40 or over 50, and somebody can be, their first job. I can set those rules if I can set up that right kind of environment. That maybe all boils down to choice for me. And that's the biggest benefit outside of some of the tangible, practical benefits.
6. The look on the person's face when they try for the first time. I wanted to be a chef my whole life, and I rarely eat my own food. I'll have a bunch of people over for dinner, I have a table out, and then everyone's eating and I'm standing. There are no words to say how great it makes a chef or a person who loves to cook feel when the whole table is quiet. No, everyone stopped talking, they're just eating and they're smiling, and you get that nod, with my friends, my Marines, whenever they drink it for the first time, I said, do me a favor, please post. I can't be there to drink it with you. So do me a favor and just film it, or just take a video of it so I can see it, and they'll call me up, they'll do a Skype or anything online. I can see them and we do a toast together, and you can see them as their first sip, and they're like, and if I may add one more thing, probably one of the most momentous occasions I've had with my scotch. I was at an event and there was this older black gentleman, and I opened up my stands and I'm pouring samples, and he just ran. He was just waiting for me the whole time to open to my stand, and I was like, okay. And people are coming up, and I'm explaining the history of my scotch and talking about how it's made, and he's just there, and I pour him, and other people are detracting me from my conversation with him, but he's waiting, and he's swirling, he's looking at the legs, he's smelling it, he's doing the 3, 6, 9 inch, get all the qualities of the scotch, and finally he looks at it and he takes a sip, and he said something to me that was so profound that I'll never forget. He looked at me in the eyes and he said, "My man," and he walked away. To this day, that was my first year out, and I will never forget that it was like a sense of accomplishment. It's like your father, patting you on the back and going, "Great job." It was the absolute greatest feeling I've had.
As an entrepreneur, one of the hardest parts of the job is maintaining a healthy work-life balance. Most of us have hobbies outside of the office and a great group of friends and family that we enjoy spending time with. So where do we draw the line between work and life? We ask the experts.
1.
Firstly, we've got to get clear on what life is supposed to be. A lot of people don't have work-life balance because they build the business first and then run their life around it. Those of you who have had children or been around children, when they're young, they're going to have a meltdown every once in a while, right? They're going to have an emotional moment here and there. And you've got to pay attention to that no matter what, where the business will pull us. And if we tie our identity to the business, when the business is doing great, we're going to think we're amazing and we're doing awesome. When the business has some challenges, then we're going to also not feel so feel good about ourselves if we have our business running our life. So what I have learned, and I learned this from a gentleman named Ray Lowe, and Ray taught me, he said, Doug, you build your business after you build your life. So map out how you want your life to really be. And once you understand and you're truthful about that, not honest, not subjective, truthful, objective, this is exactly what I want. Then you can build the business that supports that. And so we must know what we're going to say yes to or no to. And the only way of doing that is to get super, super clear, at least for the next 3 to 5 years, of what you truly want in your life, and then build your business around that. And as you get older, you change things and you change your business.
Running a company with my partner is so fulfilling and incredible for me. We both really, really love it and always just talk about how much we enjoy it. But it's very funny because I would say 9 out of 10 people that hear that we work together immediately say, like, could never. How are you guys not killing each other? And then they get that added layer of, wait, you two work from home together? Like, no. So we get a lot of just really like negative feedback from the world, whether it's from people we know or from strangers or family, or like it's the general consensus that it's a crazy thing to do. But for us, it works, and it's been really incredible. And we didn't walk into the situation naive or not knowing that there were going to be some challenges. So we really set it up from the beginning to know, okay, we're going to need to set the foundation so that we have proper work-life balance, proper relationship work balance, just a good, healthy dynamic. And so that it wouldn't, break us up, but make us stronger. So from day one, we did a lot of sort of like classic leadership exercises. I mean, it's things that I would do with team members throughout my career anyway, but it was maybe a little different to do it with a partner, because it's usually something that maybe you would leave at the office and not bring in. But we did Myers-Briggs tests, we did DISC assessments, we did, more classic relationship things such as love languages, apology languages, all these like quizzes that you can get online for free. But we really set the time aside to say, okay, let's learn each other in a way that maybe we wouldn't have to if we were just simply dating, but we are working together. What is your work style? What is your preferred way of receiving feedback? What's your preferred way of giving feedback? Does email work for you? Are you more of a Slack person? Do you like in-person chats? Like really digging into those details, I think helped us set the foundation to not only work together in a way that helped the company and benefited, our day-to-day actual workload, but really made it clear that we were committed to each other, committed to making sure that we were communicating in a really positive way, and committed to making it work. I mean, simply just both of us setting aside that time to have those conversations, I think spoke volumes about how much we both wanted to put into this and make sure we were creating a company that was going to succeed and our relationship that was going to succeed. And that seemed to work for us because it does help.
So most people think, okay, I'm going to do this amount of hours on my job, and I'm going to do this amount of hours for my family, and this hours at the gym, whatever, this kind of thing. And I think it's more periodic. So there are times when I really need to focus. So for example, beginning of the year, I had a book due and the publisher was on my case. Then work was the priority and probably my life balance was off. But then once that was done, I then took, a month and I was doing a lot less work and I was focusing on family and other things. So I think it can be periods of time rather than every week. But I think keeping that balance is tough. And I think certainly when you're building a business, it is quite hard, to not have your laptop on 24/7, not to respond to every email that comes in, not to be constantly checking your phone. And so really it's about prioritizing what's important and going, okay, can this really not wait till tomorrow? Or if it can't, okay, well, some things I need to give up on something, certainly in the early stages of building a business. But I don't think it has to be weekly. I think it can come in stages. It's how we do work-life balance.
So work-life balance is something that comes up a lot for entrepreneurs because we can work all the time. Our laptop is our office. We're here with our laptop all the time. Can we achieve work-life balance? I firmly believe that yes, we can. I think it comes down to values and I think it comes down to priorities, but I think it also comes down to an understanding of the bigger picture. Do I work some weekends? Yes, I do. When I'm in those phases of my business, if I have a big launch coming up, I will work weekends. If I don't have a big launch coming up, I am very purposeful about my phone goes off, my computer gets closed. And so I think that there are phases and seasons. And when we're in a busy season, we do still have to build in elements of balance. For example, I highly recommend to all of my clients, as I do myself, to have a morning practice. What are you doing in the mornings to fill yourself up so that your tank is full for when you show up in your business? You can't run on empty. So what are you still doing in those busy seasons to fill yourself up so you can keep showing up in your business? And then in your down seasons or your less busy seasons, what are you doing to recalibrate? How are you setting yourself up for success for those busy seasons coming so that you're not burning yourself out? So I think that there's obviously the micro and the macro look at this, but I truly do believe that work-life balance is possible. It takes some boundaries, it takes some values work, it takes some understanding of the bigger picture, but I do believe that it is possible to have separation from you and your business.
5.
When it's your business, the buck stops with you. You can't blame anybody else, especially I didn't raise any outside money. I put my own money into the business to launch. I self-funded. So you can't point the finger and blame anyone else. So for me, I always try and lead by example. And I think my natural state when I started was being very impatient. And you do have to learn patience and you have to learn about work-life balance because, again, my default was to kind of work all the time, 7 days a week. And when you're the owner, you will do that, but not everyone on your team has that same level of commitment. And I think what I learned very quickly is that you have to treat yourself as well as you treat your best clients, that it's okay to have space on your calendar, to have time for yourself to recharge, do everything. You can't spread yourself too thin because then you dilute your brand, you burn yourself out, you burn your team out. You have to disconnect from technology sometimes. Turn off your phone, turn off your computer, and take a step away. You have to recharge, you have to keep your skills fresh, commit to continuous learning and professional development, whether you go to conferences, read books, watch TED Talks, read industry trade magazines, online blogs, constantly learning and growing. You have to have that growth mindset that, the more you know, the better you're going to be. And for people that don't have that same level of commitment to learn and grow and stay fresh and energized, the culture of your team will be reflected in the people that you build around you. And you have to be strong enough to have people on your team that are very good at things that you're not very good at. So I really try and spend my time and energy doing the things that are the best use of my skills and hire around me for people that are really strong in areas where I'm not strong. And I think when you do that, your culture is strong. People love coming to work. They have the energy to throw into the things that they do best that really matter. And when that happens, I think that's when the magic occurs. But you can't expect other people have an owner's mentality if they don't own your business. Nobody else wakes up in the morning every day thinking about mavens and moguls other than me. I own the company 100%. And so, I want the best people on my team, but I have to be realistic and create an environment and a culture that they want to be part of. How you turn it on, but also how you turn it off, and not to spread yourself too thin.
6.
When I was younger, it was, just putting in more hours and just kind of muscle. As I got, a little older, I started to realize that's not the way to do it. What I've done, we talk about, the work-life balance, how do you do it? And I think, first and foremost, you got to be aware of where you are in the overall kind of wheel of life. You're going to be pushing really hard on, let's say, career and that specific attitude. You got to realize that some of these other things are going to kind of suffer a little bit if that's the focus. What I mean by other things, real parts of the wheels of life, which are friendships, spirituality, health, family. So I think understanding where you are first and foremost, and not just walking through life, hey, but for me now, it's I'm very intentional with my time. Each week I spend about 30 minutes at the end of the week. And then on a Friday, it's on my schedule, and I'll kind of plan the week ahead, all the way down to family, to workouts, to business, to internal meetings with teams, to external meetings. And then also don't forget, I think the most important part, especially as a leader and a business owner, is giving yourself just white space, blocking off white space where you can do that deep work, that thinking that needs to occur where you're working on the business, not in the business. As far as with family though, my wife and I, at the end of the year, we will get out this big old calendar that has all the months and days. We will plan the next year, and we start with family first. What are the trips let's block those in. Cool. What are the masterminds that I'm going to be attending this year? Great, let's put those in. What are some of the things that we want to do with our kids? We do, a father-son trip with either one of my boys. So we start blocking that off. So we make, it's intentional. We make time to start planning this stuff, and everything else kind of falls around that. So you really got to figure out what's important to you, and then start kind of building, a life around it.
With businesses increasingly moving online, starting a home-based business is becoming more and more accessible. But how do you navigate its challenges? We ask the experts.
1. Ideally have a separate office. That has been my absolute go-to always. We did have an office at one point. I really didn't enjoy it. I love working from home so much more. I think if you can close the door to your office, if you can have noise-canceling headphones, you can shut the blinds and focus. When you're focused, that's it, you're working. And then separate from that, talk to your spouse about, okay, I'm going to shut off at this time today. But that doesn't always happen. And I think that sometimes it's a case of having good communication with the rest of your family of like, I need to pull a late one tonight. Do not disturb me.
2. I do work from home most of the time. And the way that I balance it is I set fairly strict hours in that I work essentially 8 to 5, unless there's something that's going to pull me outside of those hours. And I'm a big believer that if you restrict the number of hours you work in a day, you are going to get the things done that you need to get done. I forget the principle, but essentially we will fill the amount of time that we allow ourselves to. And so if we allow ourselves to work until 9 o'clock at night, we will do generally the same amount of work as we would if we put in an 8 to 5 kind of day. The other thing I do is I try to organize my schedule so that I have internal calls on certain days, external calls on other days, and I try to push myself to get out of the house at least once a week, whether that means going and working in a co-working spot or just setting up meetings with people locally, or getting on an airplane and flying somewhere and going and setting meetings, because I do think it's important to get out of the house and get face-to-face time with my employees, with my clients, with prospects, with partners. And so I think the balance of just time gating, setting specific schedules in terms of when I'm going to do the regular recurring activities, allowing for some free time in there, and then just getting out of the house are kind of the different ways that I approach it. 3.
So in the beginning in 2020, when I won my first deal, it was, of course, working from home. The client, even though I won the deal, it took them 6 months to approve our employees to actually come into their facility. So the contract started late, which was fine. And we end up executing in 21, around March of 21. And some of the employees still were suffering from the COVID symptoms. And if they did, there was a plan in place where they could take their government issue computer home and then support the client from home, right? We did have, or I did feel, there were some employees that abused I think I have COVID and worked from home longer than they should have. But eventually it got to the point where the government wanted everybody back into the facility. And so those type of call outs kind of decreased. But now some of my clients have a hybrid work setup where 3 days they're physically in the office and 2 days they are working virtually. So it has worked out in the favor of, I would say, the American people, because now you don't have to do that 5-day commute into the office, depending on what your job is. So it really did change the landscape of America's workplace.
Full. It's funny because my office is literally, I think it's 17 feet from my bedroom. So my commute is very easy in the morning, right? I don't have to worry about snow, rain, traffic, all that stuff. But what I do have to be concerned about is not treating it like a business space. And that is one of the biggest challenges that people have, because they think, well, I'm home. So for example, communication, in our company, we have a very open communication system. So if you need to get a hold of somebody, it's a matter of, we use Slack. Slack somebody, I need a meeting. Great, you set a meeting. Well, geez, they're 1,100 miles from us. So we'll do what we're doing right now, Anna, where we're on video, right? But we are treating our home space as a business space, and it's a sanctuary of business. And we don't let the personal come in. And that's where people get in trouble from working from home, because it's so easy. Like, I could leave this room I'm in right now, and another 35 feet from me is a big cushy television station, and I could sit there and watch television, right? I can do that as my own boss. But the thing is that you wouldn't do that in a business. And so we have to emulate and do exactly what we would do in a business from home. At the end of the day, here's one of the biggest things. At the end of the day, have an office with a door. You can see mine's right over there. Shut the door, and it's done for the day. Now you're back in your life. But get clear on what you want your life to be like. And then working from home is not an issue for most people, as long as we're rigidly disciplined to do this.
5. Working from home is kind of a double-edged sword, isn't it? I mean, on the one hand, you can go, you roll out of bed and 5 minutes you can be working. On the other hand, there's washing to do and I need to nip to the shops. And it's very easy to get distracted. And so I definitely think you need a space to work. So, for example, I have an office in my house, a room in my house that's my office, and in my old house the same. So a place where you come to work and shut the door. That doesn't necessarily mean that everyone works well, with structured hours. Some people work well by doing a few hours, then taking a break, taking a walk, especially if you're in a creative job, and then coming back to it. But I think you need to specify when it act like you're at work. Even if you're at home and you have that advantage, it's work time, you're in your space and you've shut the door. And then when you leave that space, you leave your laptop here, you leave your documents there, and you don't go back to it till it's time to work again.
6. The pandemic changed everything for the workspace, for office culture, for what it means to be included on a team. Everything was kind of thrown up in the air, and you were forced to do this virtual model. Sometimes the virtual model works, sometimes it doesn't work. What I've learned, though, is it changed the game for Trepwise. When we've been growing really rapidly, and we're working across the country right now. And I used to think, if we were going to go to a new city, like we're based in New Orleans, if we were to go to a new city, we would probably need to open up a place in the city and have some bricks and mortar, and we'd probably have to hire people in the city in order for us to get business within that space. What this model has said to me, or shown me, is, you don't have to do that. The boundaries around where clients live, the boundaries around how you hire, is been totally reimagined in this virtual space. I know that there are organizations who said, you know what, we're coming back. Everyone back in the office, with no rhyme or reason as to why you want them back. And oftentimes people are like, I'm being productive. Like, why do I need to go into the office? I'm learning how to live an integrated life. Like, when I work remotely, I can walk my dogs, I can do my laundry, and I can also be on the Zoom call when I'm needed to be on the Zoom call. I call that an integrated life. Whereas before, when you were going to work every day, you were living a binary life. Like I was at work or I am at home. And the two didn't overlap. So I say that all to say the pandemic opened up this whole new gray area of what workplace culture looks like and what does it mean to be in person. And what does it mean to be virtual? I believe there is not one answer for every organization. I would not sit here and say you must be virtual, but I do think there's one answer for each organization. And I think each organization needs to figure out what is the benefit of in-person. If I'm asking people to come back, there's a reason. It's not just because. It's never just because. Come back. And if you're able to lean into a virtual workplace, what are the benefits of that you want to maintain? Because the pandemic, while a horrible time frame in our lives, produced some positivity out of it when it comes to efficiencies and effectiveness and how people can work remotely in a really productive way. So let's not throw all that away. Let's learn from that and let's keep what we feel works. Let's bring back stuff that we thought we missed. Let's reimagine what it means to be in the office. Let's reimagine what it means to be on a call. Let's reimagine what it means to be all in one conference room. How often does that need to happen and why? So it's a complex question, you're right. People tend to be like, I can't believe I have to go to the office. Well, they're saying that because they don't know the reason why they need to go to the office. If it was clear and management was really transparent with their logic around why they want people in person, then I think employees would then better understand. I believe that in most situations, a hybrid model is the model that's going to be most successful. It's just complicated to manage.
The Best of Business Show is brought to you by the BASA Awards. The BASA Awards exist to recognize, reward, and promote exceptional small businesses. We run 4 award programs: Best of America, Best of Australia, Best of Canada, Best of UK. Remember, it's strictly for small businesses only. Nominate your business today.